So uncivilized.
Well, hello there, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Uncivilized Scoundrels, episode where we at 21, I believe, and we're 38. Here 38, 11, 11:38, and yeah, we're here to discuss episode 5 of Obi-Wan, man. So this is going to be a fun discussion, man. I'm looking forward to hear everyone's thoughts. But first and foremost, let me go ahead and introduce the panel of the usual suspects here, along with one of our special guests here tonight. First of all, CC, how's it going tonight?
Great. It's been a busy week, a little bit of a stressful week, but I'm happy to be here talking Star Wars. This episode might have been the highlight of my week so far. I mean, the night is out, so we'll see.
Okay, all right. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Next up, we got Rrr Mmmm from Positive Fandom. Rrr Mmmm, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, this is something that I look forward to, being with all of you, and we get to talk Star Wars tonight. I cannot wait.
Absolutely, yeah. Same here, on the same boat. I see my man over here in the corner giggling at something, man. Youzbee, what's going on with you, bro?
Just you saying the name. I'm not gonna
like
there
that.
We go. Like in a sentence, like flawlessly, like like I'm saying
Hey,
Mario,
man.
You're saying that. I
can't
point
do it
to you.
either.
I'll point to you
I
every
mumble
time I
through
need
it
to say
so
it.
no one catches that I can't say it either.
I'll just say Rrr Mmmm and then just call it.
It's that Latino challenge,
I
bro.
just like
So
what
it
she
is.
said. I agree with her. What she said, flawless. She had
I'm gonna have Mario record it and have a soundboard and just hit it.
Yo.
There you go.
Well, Leo does it pretty good too, man. But
Yes.
anyway, Sean, thanks for joining us tonight, man. I really appreciate you coming through, bro.
Yeah, glad I could finally join on one, and second to the last. So yeah, joined for a good
Definitely,
one. So
man.
looking forward to talking about it. Yeah.
Got the penultimate, man. Next up, we got my man Vinny at Vincent Dunn Art. Vinny, how you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's been a busy week and so much going on, but like CC, definitely one of the highlights and the highs of highlights of this week was episode. This episode was incredible, man. So I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait to talk about it. There's a particular scene that we'll all be talking about tonight. I must have ran it back 4 or 5 times, so can't wait to jump into tonight's episode. We got a lot to break down.
Definitely, man. We're definitely doing. Last but not least, we got our guy, Leo 16 man, 2099.
Yo,
Bro, how's it going tonight, man?
it's going good, man. It's going. I'm pulling like a double duty right now because I'm watching. I'm having this full
He's
discussion.
distracted.
I got the game on in the background because I just want to see, because this could be like a society game. Who knows? But other than that, I'm so happy to be here. CC, I wanted to actually tell you I have a newfound appreciation. Again, I was on that defense. Everybody knows I was heavily on the fence about everything after Force Awakens when it comes to The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But I have a new appreciation for him now. The reason why is because I went back and watched I watched everything. I had a full marathon and I watched everything. From everything. I did.
Wow.
Because I needed to. I needed a palate cleanse, so I watched everything. And watching The Force Awakens up into The Last Jedi, bro. I mean, to The Rise of Skywalker, bro. I have a newfound appreciation because I found things in those movies that made everything make sense. And
really,
I did, bro. I did. It took me a minute, but it did. Even Luke's story, Luke's journey.
Oh, you're finally come around to the point I made back in the day.
That made sense about Luke's story that I had to think about, and I had to go back and rewatch. And it was 2 key conversations that he had in The Last Jedi with Rey that I was like, okay. I kind of get it.
Look no further than Kenobi.
It was also the conversation that Kylo had with Rey. There were certain things that were said. There were key points that I picked out, and I was like, you know what? Now I completely understand it. Everybody else won't, and I'm not saying everybody else will like it, but I have a newfound appreciation with links the entire trilogy, everything together, and it's nice and it makes sense. Even though there were certain things that weren't perfect, I still have a newfound appreciation. And everybody knows that I really love Rey's character. I've loved Rey's character since her inception, from Rise of Skywalker all the way to, Force Awakens all the way to Rise of Skywalker. I love the character in her journey, and I'm hoping that we see more from her. I really, really do. Probably won't, but I hope we do. But anyway, we hear Obi-Wan, and this last episode was insane, and I loved it. But what were we gonna say, Mario?
No, I was gonna say, man, this sounds like a totally separate discussion that we should totally have, man. About, I don't know, maybe everybody do some homework and just watch the sequel trilogy and come up with our thoughts after the fact.
I can comment on this because I started my channel, which is called Positive Fandom, because I know that when I watch stuff, I'm not going to like everything. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so I said,
definitely.
okay, I'm not going to like everything, but what do I like? And that's what I chose to focus on my channel, the stuff that I love. Now, for me, I think every movie can be better. And so it just needs to be re-edited. Like, give Rey a little bit more support so that her character is a stronger character. And I think we see that a lot of times. We might say, I wonder why, they didn't say, put that in there, and then it would make sense. And so I think it'd just be re-edited, and then it would be a film where it has a little bit of better flow. Kylo and Rey are great characters. There's a lot of great characters in that film, and we want them to perform to their peak level. And sometimes we don't get that. And, it's like, okay, fine. But, like if I were given the option to re-edit it, it would still be the same story, just certain things that, I think could enhance it. And then, but then there might be people who hate that too. So, but that's my approach to it for a lot of these things that we see. So,
And I'll say before we switch over, I know I recently just watched it with my 6-year-old son, and he effing loves it. Like, he is all about Rey and Kylo and Dio and Babu Freak and just everything. So seeing it through his eyes, it makes it me enjoy it more.
It does, bro. Because the thing is, that's why they're doing it, and they're doing it for. It's not just for us anymore, bro. We've. It's like I feel as though we've had our journeys through Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando, Vader. We've had our journey, and now with the new trilogy, it's giving someone else a chance, but sprinkling little things in there for us to enjoy as well, so we can all share those conversations. And I get that, and I kind of understood it. But one of the reasons why I watched it was because I needed to, and also I needed to see, because what I did, bro, when I'm talking about I binged, I watched from the original prequels, from episode 1, even with the Mandalorian, even with Obi-Wan right now, even with Solo, even with Rogue One. I watched everything the whole way through up into Rise of Skywalker.
Wait, but did you watch Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure?
No, I didn't. We will not speak about that right now. We will not speak about that. I won't.
Droids.
I won't. Anyway, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there were certain things that I watched, even, bro, I even went back. I went and watched Visions again. Like, I watched everything because it's too much. Bro, Visions, I love Visions. I love it because it's a different interpretation, and you're also giving a different market a chance to tell a story. And I love that about it. But I think I needed it because of the simple fact that Obi-Wan is getting so much backlash. Certain characters are getting so much backlash. And I'm just like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just that I have a totally different way of enjoying certain things. Maybe I love these characters so much, and I love Star Wars so much, that I'm willing to take the good with the bad. And then most of the times, all we do is see good. Even if there's bad, the good trumps that because of our love for the genre, our love for the IP. So I don't know. I mean, I just needed to see it. I just needed to see it. Yeah.
Take the good, you take the bad, like Mr. Garrett says.
Yeah, and I admit that I'll watch Obi-Wan forever. Like, I'm going to watch Ewan McGregor forever. I don't care what that character does. I'm turning it on. I'm going to rewatch it. I don't care. I just love seeing Ewan McGregor. That's just another confession.
Yeah.
Blue Tattoos in the chat says that he watched Force Awakens the other day, and he said he loves the movie, but he couldn't watch it over and over and be content. I cannot watch The Last Jedi. Try to give it its day. I'd rather just watch The Rise of Skywalker. Bro, I'm the other way around. I think I'd rather watch The Last Jedi than The Rise of Skywalker, man. So let me check in with the chat real quick, man. We got Braden. Braden was here earlier, man. He sent me a message saying he couldn't stick around, but he'll catch the replay. Shout out to my man down under. Legend Renz Tolentino in the chat. Good evening, amazing
Renz.
panel and the chat. Exactly, man. Doing some amazing work, and hit that like button on the way in, man. Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Vinny's in the chat. Doing Vinny stuff.
I'll be around. I'll be around.
What's popping, Pooh? What's happening, Papa? What's going on, brother? Age is in the house. We got Tilly here. Hi, everybody. Owen Williams just enjoying the ride. Hell yeah, man. Glad you're here for the ride, man. Anthony Rogers, good evening. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? We saw Anthony over at Celebration, man. So that was that was actually cool to see, bro. He gave us a shout out over there. So that was lovely to see. My man, Dennis Perez, Puerto Rican statue collector. What's going on, hermano? Good to see you, brother. Tobar's in the house. Okay, let's go. My man Tobar. What's going on with you, bro?
Yeah, my man.
Who else we got in here? Beskar Kids in the house. What's going on, brother? Mary Sullivan's here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Calvin Williams, my guy. What's going on, bro? Hopefully we'll be meeting up soon for Frankensons without Leo. My man.
Bull crap.
Yo, hey, we'll get you back here, man.
Yeah, no, you had a chance to do it when I was there. Nope.
My man, shout out to my guy Cash the Gemini.
Sean knows too, and Sean didn't even say that. That's deep.
Hey man. Anyway, so a little panel in chat. Mario with the voice of a Mafia Angel.
Mafia Angel.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one, man. Possibly. Blue Tattoos in the house. What's going on, brother? And who else we got here? We got Amber May. Good evening, Amber. Good to see you. Superhero displays in the chat. I love Star Wars. Make peace with it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Say it again. Say it again. Superhero display. Say it one more time.
Yeah,
one more time for
doubt.
the people in the cheap seats.
No doubt, definitely, man. And yeah, man, just happy to see everybody in the chat tonight. And let's go ahead and start breaking down this episode. Hopefully, CC can join us in a little bit. So yeah, man. So we're opening up here. The episode starts, and we're opening up to a scene of Coruscant. We get a flashback that everybody was, I think we were all waiting for. But real quick, before we actually get to that, I want to say, this took me a couple times to notice. I think someone else also mentioned it. Do you guys notice that there's like no traffic going on in Coruscant right now? I mean, they must observe the Sabbath because there is nobody out right now, man.
Maybe they had, it might have been Corona.
Maybe they might be on lockdown. Right? I never thought about that.
Might have space Corona.
I wonder if it's the lower levels, because you know how when
the Jedi Temple is kind of up there though, isn't it?
We seen traffic up by the Jedi windows. I mean, traffic was pretty high in the prequels.
Maybe it's the weekend.
Maybe.
There's a lot of reasons. It could be. It could be. I don't know. It could be.
Maybe it's a
Super Bowl
holiday.
or something.
They're like, we're not working today.
Holiday.
It's the Force.
Oh, there you are.
I don't have this thing muted. I'm gonna get us booted. So anyway, we see Coruscant, and we are treated with Hayden Christensen as young Anakin Skywalker just prior to Attack of the Clones. Slightly young, yeah. Yeah, it would seem that the de-aging didn't really seem to work that well with these two. I mean, Ewan, I don't know, man. Ewan looks just as good as ever, to be honest, man. But
they shouldn't have even done anything. They should have just let it be. It's kind of like them now, but with extra steps.
Yeah, but you know what? And Hayden Christensen, he's older, but he hasn't aged much.
Like, I swear he looked younger in those at the celebration than he did in this scene.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. So we see.
The first thing my wife said when we were watching this, she's like, "Why didn't they de-age him? They have the technology. Like,
Oh my god!
looks like he's 40. Like, well, yeah, go for it."
It made it worse, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we see them ignite their lightsabers and they're ready for a spar. So let me go ahead and ask everybody in the panel. I want to start off with ladies first. CC, what were your first initial thoughts when you first saw this flashback?
Well, the second I saw like the back of his head, I was like, "Oh!" Well, Coruscant, obviously, because that kind of implied that we're going to get a flashback. But I mean, we've been asking for this since before the show even started, where I even wanted to see, and I hope, I mean, our window is maybe closing, right, with one episode left, but I was really hoping that we would see, and hopefully we do, fingers crossed, scenes of them fighting during the Clone Wars. Like if they take maybe a planet that we saw before in the animated series, because I do feel for the people who haven't watched any of the animated series, like Clone Wars or Rebels, because especially coming up like with Thrawn, and a lot of backstory is going to get missed if you haven't seen the animated shows because they're quote unquote for kids. So I hope that they do end up showing us a little bit of the Clone Wars, because I think they're certainly giving us little snippets that are helpful to how we know Anakin's story progressed, especially with like Revenge of the Sith. That kind of like I think scenes like this are kind of the opposite of Game of Thrones to me, where we all know how that ended, and it seemed very abrupt, where it's like, whoa, she made that decision? We had no idea she was going to make that decision. Here you do see like the competitive nature between him and Obi-Wan that we kind of saw only a little bit with like, I think it was the opener to, was it Revenge of the Sith? The speeder chase. Yes, where he ends up killing Dooku. That kind of gave you an idea that there is, because Obi-Wan has always said like, you're like my brother. Well, they're competitive like brothers, not like in a comrade situation, but like in a I'm going to put you in your place once in a while kind of situation. I think that this flashback kind of showed that, which was really needed context for how we're seeing, because it's easy to forget that these kind of scenes happened all the time that we weren't privy to.
Yeah, I do hope we do see a flashback like that, like you mentioned. But to be honest, I mean, considering the last couple episodes have only been a little bit more than a half hour, I wouldn't be surprised if the last episode wasn't any more than 40-45 minutes. Traditionally, that hasn't been the case, but I don't know. I just can't help be a little bit paranoid about that. Real quick, I want to check in with the chat real quick. Toya T is entered. Queen Toya's in the house. What's going on, Toya? Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming through. My man Riley Reviews in the house. What's going on, Riley? He says, bro, I loved it. Takes me back to my childhood. The prequels are my heroes. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. So what were your thoughts when you saw this opening sequence?
Yeah, I feel like I psychically connected to CC3PO because I have down literally in my notes saying, I loved it. I love seeing them together. And I literally have down the same thing. So I'm like, yes, what we need are they could, honestly, I was thinking that they were teasing us, letting us know that they were going to make maybe a few more films just focusing on live action Clone Wars. Right. Like CC says, I think that this setup is perfect. There's a lot of discussions about training and becoming a Jedi between Anakin and Obi that would be wonderful to see this stuff. And whether they take it from the book, wherever they decide to take it from, if it's something like this, if it has this feeling, I think it's great. In regards to the look of the scene looks okay, and I'm willing to accept that might be Anakin right before, or he turns to the dark side, and that's fine. Like I also like Hayden Christensen, so I'll just take whatever they give me of Hayden Christensen. Yep. But I did like the rapport. They have a lot of chemistry together, these two. Yeah, and you can still feel it. What is it? What was the last time they filmed together? 20 years ago? Was it?
About that, 2000. Everybody? I think they said 2003, they said.
Yeah.
Or 2004 for Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
To be able to come back and there's still that feeling that, Obi-Wan is the senior person. I mean, that has that sense of Anakin still trying to best his master. And, it came across quite clear, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just a lesson trying to learn. And then, of course, we're going to see later on in the episode that it has some significance. But, this stuff was just like candy and ice cream and hot fudge sundae and whipped cream and cherries, like all that good stuff.
All the goodies.
It was great. And I think you could tell, even though they had to do like some changes using CGI, I guess, that why am I forgetting his name? Hayden was enjoying himself. And I think that came across. They were happy to be working together. And I also think that they've been wanting to work together in live action. The opportunity just hadn't come around yet. So this is what they've been waiting for. And it feels good. And you can tell it feels good from their response to one another.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was really excited to see this, and it was great to see. My sister's a huge fan of Hayden Christensen, and when she found out, she just sent me a big old text with like heart eye emojis and stuff like that. So yeah, she definitely ate it up. Youzbee, my man, what were your thoughts on this opening scene, bro?
I loved it. Obviously, I mean, this is what we've been kind of waiting for. Kind of the whole show. I mean, Vader and Obi-Wan for sure, but really seeing Hayden, come back and do his thing is kind of what we've been waiting for. So, the lack of de-aging was a little bit jarring at the first get-go, but after a while you just kind of get into it and you kind of forget about it. The thing that I liked most about the scene, well, okay, maybe from 60% to 55
from a certain point of view, I
down,
guess.
Yeah. So, there you go. Okay, look at you.
Hey.
But the thing that I liked about it is that you could really see the Clone Wars in Hayden's kind of portrayal, because he, you can see his sort of, not the anger coming out, but his overzealousness and his willingness to kind of use that anger or cockiness or whatever you want to call it, to try and beat Obi-Wan. And you got a lot of that in Clone Wars, and you got none of that in episode 2 and episode 3. So I loved it as far as that goes, and just seeing him spar again, seeing him back was pretty great. So I'm happy to see it. I'm happy we got this scene, and it's definitely one of my favorite parts of the episode for sure. So
Tobar's asking now, was this a trial or just a training to become a master? I think this was just them training,
I think it was just
to be
sparring.
honest. Exactly. But Vinny, I mean, when I saw this too, there were a bunch of red flags, man, during the entirety of the spar though, bro. I mean, Kenobi not being able to recognize those things is kind of like, I don't know, whatever. But what did you think about this opening shot, man? This opening scene?
Well, my man just pointed out some things that I was going to touch on. Youzbee mentioned about the Clone Wars, the animated show, and that is what kind of stood out to me with this scene, because Anakin was a lot more subdued. Like, he was arrogant, but he wasn't whiny. And a lot of the prequels, arrogance came off as whiny, and it kind of like overcompensated what they were trying to get across. Like, his arrogance was never as subtle as it needed to be in the prequels for them to, not be so taken aback and, like you said, red flagged all the time through the prequels. But in the Clone Wars, it was just aggression pointed in the right way. So it helped them. And this was Anakin being aggressive and confident and cocky and intelligent, but just not as reserved as a Jedi should need to be. And one of the things that this show has to juggle is the bridging that gap to A New Hope. And the line that everybody loves to compare this show to is, when I met you, when I last seen you, you were the master. Now and I was a student.
Yeah.
And one of the things that this show has to do is to make it kind of where when we leave the show, that is still true. And their first fight left that door open for them to kind of have something else that would make Anakin still feel like he's Kenobi's student and he still has something to learn. And over the course of them sparring through this episode, Kenobi was able to outsmart him. So while he may have been able to outgrow his master in form of raw power, he still probably at some, throughout the course of this next 10 years until New Hope, feels like Kenobi is wiser and a better master, and he's still learning from a strategy and overall, Jedi standpoint. And I think that is what we kind of came away from this, because it's a lot more than lightsabers and force pushes. It's a lot of, wisdom and intelligence and discipline. And we get that in this fight. And we've all been waiting to see Hayden in the show. And I love that. Again, I love that it's kind of more like Clone Wars to me than the prequels. Whereas in the Clone Wars, show, they're more like brothers, and in the prequels, a lot of times it came off more as Kenobi's just a an annoyed parent who who's always just yelling at him, and in the Clone Wars, he's just like a big brother who's always covering up for his little brother who's getting in trouble, but saving the day. So it's like, how mad can you be? He was right. So this was the opening that was just set the tone for the episode, and it just got better and better from there.
And that's what I appreciate about the Clone Wars, man. Really saw the development of the two. I mean, Anakin's character even more so, because I remember at the time everybody was just like, Hayden wasn't doing that great and everything else, but I think the Clone Wars really redeemed him a lot.
Everything that happened with the Clone Wars made his turn make so much more sense, because in the prequels it would be like, why would you trust this kid to do anything? He's so off the rails. But in Clone Wars, he's in control and making like daredevil rash decisions that always work out. And in the prequels, they wouldn't work out. So it's like, well, it's kind of like somebody who breaks the rules but gets the job done. You let it slide. In any job, there's people like that who break the rules, but they get the results, so no one says anything. So, but if they were failing, they would have been kicked out. So Anakin in Clone Wars is always winning, always saving the day. It makes sense that the Jedi would have put up with him. But in the prequels, it didn't make sense that they would have. It made it so obvious that he would have turned into prequels. But in Clone Wars, I could see them being completely shocked, because all his evil, Sith, foreshadowing, it was just him being badass as opposed to whiny.
Exactly. Definitely, exactly. I mean, real quick, Beskar Kid mentions that I would imagine that this would happen. This was going on just before they met Padme. That's interesting to think about, man. I mean, this particular sparring just like happened like right before, I guess, episode 2 starts. It said, when I left you, you're about to learn, but I am the master. Yeah, that's what he said. Superhero displays. If you hate the prequels, then these flashbacks and episodes, then this will probably not hit. However, if you're like me and love the prequels, then from the first scene to the last scene, it's geekgasms all the way. I wasn't particularly that much of a fan of the sequels, or the prequels rather, when they first came out. I mean, I appreciated the story, but I thought the execution was kind of lackluster. But I mean, over time, it completely grew on me, man. I just appreciated everything that much more. Leo, we lost you for a minute, man. Are you back?
Yeah, it's a thunderstorm over here, man. It kind of knocked the power out.
I was waiting for it to knock my power out too. I'm like a mile away from him, so I keep every time I hear a thunderclap, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it kind of messed up our.
Man.
So we'll see how it is. But I'm doing it from my phone.
All right, it's all good.
So I actually started eating, so that no one would notice that you had left. Like, they'd be more preoccupied with the fact that I'm eating, like, live on a show, because I, skipped a meal today. Like, I got you. People could just concentrate on my chewing the whole time.
Should I go grab a bag of chips too? Is that how we do it? Or just making sure?
Do you hear the crinkling? Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and leave it up on CC the entire time, and then while Lael gives his thoughts, we're just gonna watch CC eat. So
suddenly this turned into like a food review. Yeah.
Lael, what were your thoughts on this opening scene, man?
No, I loved it, bro. I loved the opening. It kind of took us back. And again, look, bro, I tell people all the time, I enjoyed the prequels, bro. I had a hell of a good time watching the prequels, because I love Star Wars in a whole. You know what I mean? Like, just as a whole, I just love it. You know what I mean? So, they kind of give us those flashbacks, see a totally different side of both Anakin and Obi-Wan, conversations that they may have had that we weren't privy to. And then on top of that, like, I loved how they weaved those flashbacks in with what Obi-Wan was experiencing. And, giving him more so insight on giving us insight on how Obi-Wan knows Vader works, how he knows Anakin works. You know what I mean? Because of this particular scene. And I love,
and vice versa.
How they kind of weave that. Yeah, and vice versa. And also, the simple fact that we got an answer to the question that's been on everybody's mind since this show started was, how would that really, how is it that, based off of what Vader said to Obi-Wan in New Hope, how does that make sense in this show? Well, this particular episode explained it all to me. like it really did. You know, that everything doesn't have to be explained with a duel. You know what I mean? So it made complete sense, and I love this opening sequence. You know, I love how Obi-Wan was kind of, it was not like he was trying to teach Anakin, but we could see that Anakin was, driven by competition, driven by the simple fact that he wanted to best his master. Like the simple fact that they gave us that. You can also see that there were sprinkles of, the kind of like reluctancy in, Obi-Wan to really go all in. But you can basically see that hatred, kind of not hatred, but that, that envy creeping in Anakin, because he knew that what Obi-Wan was saying was right, but it was all about him proving him wrong. So I love this open sequence, bro. I love it. And this is the sequence that we wanted. We wanted to see a flashback that kind of gave us, that connection between both. So I loved it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how in the previous episode, we were all questioning, why are they bringing back Hayden Christensen and just to see him in the Vader suit? They're not really utilizing him as an actor. And then suddenly we're all smacked upside the head. Here you go. Here's a flashback. So I really appreciated it. Next up, moving on to the next scene, we see Riva enter the bridge to Vader's ship. And she tells Vader that the tracker worked and Obi-Wan is landed on Jabeam. Vader then tells Riva to kneel and promotes her as Grand Inquisitor. I guess she finally gets what she wants. So all of her hard work has actually paid off at the time, as of right now. In the next scene, Obi-Wan lands on Jabeam, as we see, and they all onboard the ship. They all get off the ship, and Roken says, "Hey, we got her," but doesn't acknowledge that, hey man, we also lost our guy over there at Fortress Inquisitoris, but whatever. No one seems to care. And another thing, it was funny, dude. I saw that and I was like, all right.
Instead of being hey, we lost, unfortunately, what was his name? Right? Jason,
even
whatever.
Or something like that.
Even they said, what was his name?
Frank?
Yeah. Whatchamacallit didn't make it.
Frank didn't make it. But according to Talia, you could bitch slap the shit out of a stormtrooper and it practically kills them. We're learning new weaknesses every day where you can just pop them and they don't get up. So +1 for the rebels and the Rebel Alliance.
Absolutely.
We have a new battle tactic.
Real quick, I just want to shout out H Green. I was stopping by to say hi to everybody. What's going on, bro? Good to see you, man. So Obi-Wan sees a fake Jedi that he met previously. What was his name? Haja or something like that. And he and Haja tells him, "Hey, man, so I kind of got into it with this mean-ass Inquisitor lady. So now I'm wanted by the Empire." And then he goes, "Now I know what it really feels like to be a Jedi. And it's not easy." I'm like, this freaking guy, dude. I thought that was hilarious, man. But moving on. So Roken begins to start loading up the civilians on the transport to safety from the Empire. And then Vader's ship enters in from light speed, in which Vader orders Riva to go ahead and begin the attack. So then what happens next? Next, we see Lola actually awakens up from her sleep or what have you, as I'm trying to scrub back and forth in between here. Yeah, so this robot wakes up and does, starts doing her evil things. Her eyes are all red and all that. And so Obi-Wan is wandering around the area and he sees the transcripts actually from the previous safe house. I think this was translated somewhere to "May the Force be with you." Some of the stuff that what was his name, Quinlan Voss, had written down on here. And then he turns and we see a box of lightsabers. Yes. And I'm looking, Sean, I don't know about Sean if you did the same thing, But I went back and paused this part and rewound it over and over again just to see if I can like recognize anything that was in the stash. I mean, I personally didn't see a thing, but did anybody else notice or recognize any of these hilts?
Not a one.
No.
Or has there anything?
There's 8 lightsabers, and it's piled on top of what looks like a Jedi robe. It's exciting to see that. Are there 8 Jedi waiting for these sabers? There's a lot more to the operation we don't know.
I just figured it was Grievous's suitcase.
Well,
That's possible.
I was gonna say, like, feast your eyes on this because Disney is gonna announce like new lightsabers available at Doc Ondar's. It wouldn't surprise me if they're like these are Sabi sabers, or they'll come out with some like promotional stuff where it's like, hey, like it was a blink and you miss it scene, like Ben Solo's lightsaber that they just retired. But I think it's definitely, I missed it the first time. But I think it's cool that they're doing this, and almost I like the juxtaposition between this, where they're just like kind of placed haphazardly in a box, with Inquisitor, what is it, like the
Fortress Inquisitoris?
Yes, yeah. Where they're displayed almost like how I would display lightsabers, where it looks
they're kind of just thrown in there, right? Like, get like one of the form-fitting cases, like treat little respect.
Yeah, I think you're right, CC. We'll probably end up seeing something like that in Galaxy's Edge, probably like 1 or 2, as seen in Kenobi. So there's definitely an opportunity there that I know that Disney will definitely capitalize on, especially for the parks. So then after that, Lola shuts down the breaker to lock down the hangar, and everyone is in a panic as Vader enters the atmosphere. After that, we're on our next flashback, in which we see basically Anakin has the upper hand on Obi-Wan right now. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but within these flashbacks, they kind of mimic the previous scene. So like when we see Vader have the upper hand, we go to these flashbacks and we see Anakin whooping Kenobi's ass. And then when it's the other way around, we see Obi-Wan, strategizing and telling Anakin, you're wrong to be like this. And that was, I got to commend it to the writers on this one, along with the director as well. I mean, I think that was brilliant the way that they set that up. But I mean, as far as like, what did everybody think about this last scene? So we got we're basically have Vader coming in and everyone's, freaking out. Sean, I'll start with you.
What scene, when he comes into the base?
Yeah, pretty much. They just get noticed that Vader's entered the atmosphere, and they're just getting ready for attack. And everybody's freaking out.
They definitely created tension with that. You know what I mean? I think at this point in time, Vader's kind of at his prime evil power. You know what I mean? So just him being there is like, oh shit, our goose is cooked. So I thought it was a fine scene. I mean, I didn't really have any problems with it. I don't know why. I mean, I guess you kind of figured out why that they went back there instead of just taking her back to Alderaan, right away. I figured they would have just taken her back to Alderaan. But, I mean, I thought it was cool seeing, I forget the fake Jedi's name, but seeing him again is great. I love him. I think he's funny as hell. He's a good actor. So.
Haja is his name.
And definitely seeing the bucket of lightsabers, I thought the exact same thing as everybody else. Like, oh, I can't wait till we find the bucket of lightsabers at Disney next year. So, I think it was fine. Definitely created sort of the tension that was needed in the scene to get everybody kind of there and have the climactic kind of battle. It's fine.
Yeah. Were you excited to see Haja again, Camille Nanjiani?
Could you say her name properly, please? Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Rrr Mmmm.
There we go. Okay, now she was sitting there like, "Who are you talking to?"
Wow, put an extra spice on it.
Had to, man. Had to get that tongue rolling a little bit longer.
I was very excited to see it, and I'm kind of repeating myself, but I have a feeling that those lightsabers are promised to maybe new students somewhere. Someone needs those lightsabers, and I for me, since they have said that they go through other areas, the underground for rescuing Jedi, or maybe, younglings or whomever, force sensitive individuals. I have a feeling that those are going to be going to some force sensitives that use lightsabers, and they're going to, be very happy for them.
CC, in this flashback, we see Anakin is like, he's the aggressor. And then I believe Obi-Wan tells him that, hey man, a Jedi is like supposed to save a life and not take it. And then Obi-Wan or Anakin tells him something like, hey, but being nice to your enemy, you're not going to win, and this is why you're going to lose. Red flags, man. I mean, I don't think it's obvious there at the time, but yeah, how did that hit you seeing that, man?
I mean, I think anything that adds more to what we already knew from Revenge of the Sith is great, because of the prequels, that's my favorite, obviously. I think because it's like it definitely has a darker tone anyway, and I'm a huge Vader fan, but I think they probably could have slotted this scene into that movie and it would have fit perfectly. So yeah, I love this. I really loved the scene of Vader on the bridge.
I was gonna bring it up.
Him showing up, like
there's two
hyperspace kind of scene. Looked incredible. I still keep looking at his helmet and like how that looks different from New Hope, because I'm not an expert, but every time I see it, I feel like I find something new, or I'm like, well, wait a minute, it doesn't look as glossy in the back as I remember it, but then other scenes it does. So I'm not gonna any scene with Vader I'm gonna love. But I agree. I like that they're kind of peppering in more reminders that maybe, and I think so. We've talked about how, I think we have anyway before, that this series is kind of about guilt and maybe like some PTSD on Obi-Wan's part. I think he's not remembering these scenes to remind himself that like he was supposed to be a mentor to Anakin. It's, why didn't I see these flags? Like, what could have been done differently? And not only is it a reminder of like he's had for 10 years on Tatooine of what he could have done differently, but he's also like, oh shit, this guy is not dead. Like, he's still someone I need to be concerned about. And I know to be concerned because I've seen darkness in him for a long time. And now he's finally unrestrained. So that's, I think, what's kind of going through Obi-Wan's mind as he learns that Vader's ship is now in orbit.
Yeah, he's definitely able to call him out. Vinny, what do you think about this scene where they promoted Riva over as the Grand Inquisitor?
I thought it was a great scene. Just seeing Vader on screen and having kind of like the reversal with someone bowing to Vader, kneeling to Vader was amazing. CC brought up a couple of amazing cinematography decisions with Vader, with him standing in front of the window with hyperspace going through was just phenomenal. And then when they arrived in orbit at Jameem, there was a reflection of his mask on the window, and it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. Just so many absolutely beautiful art direction choices in this show. And I love the the progression with Riva here, with getting the promotion, and it showed growth in her character, accomplishing her goals to get what she's been trying to do. And then that flashback again to the fight was, again, like CC said about the show covering the guilt that Kenobi has, but also thinking back to using his knowledge of Vader, just like Vader's using his knowledge of Kenobi to try to figure out what each of their next moves are going to be. And I think it's definitely also some fear there, because it's kind of like the whole point of Jedi is defense and being toned down and compartmentalizing your emotions, not having all these aggressive emotions and just being calm. And here you have what may be, in Kenobi's eyes, the most powerful Jedi, no longer even trying to be calm. So it's kind of like now you have a Superman who doesn't pull his punches. And how dangerous is that? Because the Jedi on a whole, they've all had to have felt at some point in their training like, isn't offense the best offense when they're told that defense is the best offense. Just like in any martial arts discipline, when you're drilled in, don't fight. I'm sure there's, that's part of the learning process. And here, as an adult, he still feels like, yeah, but how are we going to change the world if we're not aggressive? We can't just wait. And that is a big part of what has now happened, because he's realizing that not only was he not able to teach him from a disciplinary and like personal life choice, this is now someone in charge of, making the rules of the galaxy. So that person is now in charge. That's very scary, because it's not just someone who's going to be a menace in his personal life. He's a menace to the entire world. So amazing setup here, and so far, like, we're just rolling along. Just seeing Vader like on his way to a planet where people are trying to get away, you feel a lot more scared for the people inside that hangar than I did for the people inside the hangar in like Last Jedi, for instance, because what Vader can do. Like,
absolutely.
The only thing I didn't understand is why the tracker on Lola dictated like evil Lola. Like, I'm not sure you can reprogram a droid with a tracker, because I've never seen that before. Because why hasn't that been a thing? If you could just make C3PO, turn by putting a bug on him. I'm not sure why Lola went evil. What kind of tracker reprograms? I don't know. That was weird.
Didn't the Sith tracker thing actually do that to 3PO? Or, I mean, not make him evil, but I mean, his eyes turned red, and I guess he just gave up the location of Hexagon or whatever it was. But
I thought about that scene from Attack of the Clones where they're making I don't know their actual name, but they're making the Roger Rogers.
Yeah.
And they accidentally put C3PO's head on one of their bodies. And he's like, die. And he's like, oh my God, did I say that?
Yeah.
Also, again, like, one of the maybe marketing things is, I know when you build a droid at Droid Depot at Galaxy's Edge, you can get a personality chip. So it's a chip that designates like what their beeps and sounds make.
Basically, they want to be able to sell an evil Lola toy, so now there's a second toy.
There you go.
Perhaps.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Lael, I fell with it with the light side dark side Anakin. So did Sean, man. So, I mean, I believe there's no doubt that that's probably something up they're gonna actually set up. Real quick, just want to address the chat. AJ's here saying, I really like how many planets that we're seeing on this show. It's nice. It's a nice change from being on Tatooine so much. It really is, man. I mean, some of these actual planets, I guess I kind of get the same theme. And why is Sean just completely took me out of the show? I'm looking at John, the Everyday Collector's avatar on this thing. Anyway, Beskar Kid's got to run in his gym time. So I don't know what you do for a living, but for me to host the shows, Lucasfilms, should hire me to do. No. I appreciate it, man, but yeah, kind of words, bro. Really appreciate it. Have fun at the gym, bro. Get the workout in. So what's good about this show is that you can see him feeling and thinking behind the helmet. Definitely, man. Leo, what are your thoughts about the setup so far as we see the Empire get ready to siege these civilians?
I like it. I liked it because we're getting to see a side of Vader that, especially Anakin himself, what he's always wanted, a level of control, power, to be in charge. But it's how he assesses, his surrounding, how he takes that level of authority and what decisions does he make? Because the thing is, he still has a lot to prove to the Emperor. Like, he really, really does. The Inquisitors, of course, level down from him. They have a lot to prove to him. He has a lot to prove to the Emperor. And, you just kind of see how that kind of plays out. Also, he knows that as Vader, he can't be as reckless. The decision making is very important. I love the banter back and forth between even, with Riva. It's like, you see how she just gives two fucks about anything, because it's like, for you to really challenge the authority or to even question Vader's authority, it's one of those things where it's like, we've seen what that's gotten into anyone else, in the past when it comes to Vader, especially with the original trilogy. But just for her, just to have that level of confidence to question whether or not the decision is valid or is validated. I mean, I like that banter back and forth, but you can also see that there was a plan that would unfold, as soon as he basically anointed her as the Grand Inquisitor. We knew that there was a plan. It wasn't one of those situations where it was like, a celebratory moment, or, that in his eyes, she's earned it. Again, once we get later down, we know, or later into the episode, we'll know that he isn't as he's smarter than what was perceived, and what she might have actually thought at that point. But it's just like he's playing it out, giving her what she wants, just to see where it goes. It's sort of like as strategic as it would have been for Grand Admiral Thrawn. You know what I mean? Just letting you kind of trap and bait. You're baiting yourself in a sense. But I like that. Again, great cinematic choice. When I'm looking at Vader, though, here's the thing: is like, just the suit. Sometimes when I'm looking at these episodes, it looks like he has no neck. Like literally, like it looks like it's smushed between the neck and like the shoulder pads sometimes, especially when he's walking. But when he's still, I can't really see it. So it's just like those, choices, and basically how they're shooting. If they're shooting from like a high point or a low point, just how the camera kind of catches him. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, I love the setup so far. I love the simple fact that, again, they know a threat. The villagers know that there's a threat coming. And just imagine if like you were in that situation, and knowing that it's Vader, like knowing that it's Vader that's coming. It's his armada that's actually coming. I mean, that alone is enough to strike fear. But the only thing is, it's like when you look at it, it's like, well, we know, and I'm pretty much sure that everybody knows how the garrison is. And the garrison is like laughed at this particular point. So it's just like, it's a laughable moment. The only time that you feel any type of fear is when the garrison is there ahead of Vader, that Vader is going to arrive. And that's when you're like, okay, it's more fearful. But if he had never arrived, because you have taken that situation serious. But anyway, yeah, I like it. I like it so far. I like the build up so far, and the flashbacks and how they're tying it in from different perspectives. Because again, it's Obi-Wan telling us how he knows Vader thinks, also how Vader knows the outcome. So I like to play on those particular scenes, and the flashbacks really complement those moments. I love it.
Yeah. I love how you point out that fact, and I think that's something that we're going to see more as the episode progresses. So meanwhile, we see Riva land on the surface, and
real quick, because I'm assuming that Sean wants to show off his droid, but
I see him over here messing with something.
No, I'm just holding it. I'm just holding it for Leal. Oh, is Leal even here? I don't know. I'm just holding it. Hold my Goth R2 unit. We talked about evil droids earlier, so I just got my Goth R2 unit.
Is this G0-TH?
This is whatever you want it to be, baby.
Like the My Chemical Romance.
That's cooler colors.
Pretty much.
Nice.
Sean over here flexing on me again.
Flex.
Sean, never.
He always does.
Yeah, you know it.
Let's build a droid.
I still gotta do that actually, man. I walk in there, I see people building droids. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So apparently there's a whole community like around it too, where people actually customize them even more. So that's pretty cool. So Riva lands on this planet of the surface, and she's setting up for attack. And in the meantime, Raj and them, they're all freaking out. And who was it? Raji recommends tells Roken that, hey, have you unlocked the doors yet? He can't do it. He recommends that he should probably go into the hallways or into the ventilator shaft or what have you. Says that he can't, it's too big, and then Leia volunteers herself to do it. So once again, Leia stepping up to the plate, doing
horrible engineering if you need a child to fix something.
Exactly, bro. But yeah, and then Obi-Wan for some reason gives Haja his communicator, which is this is for later on. This is for later on.
He's like me. He doesn't delete messages.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, Obi-Wan receives a transmission from a worried Bail Organa and says that Bale states that he's heading back to Tatooine to help Owen, with the boy, if he doesn't hear back from Obi-Wan anytime soon, because he's freaking out that, hey, I haven't heard from you in so long. If Vader finds out about the children, or if he finds out about the children, I'm gonna go ahead and just.
He says the whole thing. Like,
yeah.
Hopefully you can tell he's never bought drugs before.
That's a secret, bro. That's a secret. Shit can be read, man. Government's always watching.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's like that's the thing too. You don't know who's there, and then
horrible.
It's a transmission. Anyway, secret transmission, whatever. So, as the troopers begin to breach the locked door, Obi-Wan requests to speak with Riva. She agrees, and then these two start talking, chatting at the door. And Obi-Wan steps up, and he says, how do you know? There's only one way you can know who Anakin truly is. And he realizes that she was there during Order 66. And we finally get a flashback. I mean, God, I hate talking about flashbacks, but I mean, we get more of Rita's motives explained to us, right? This whole time up to the penultimate episode, we're guessing what's really going on. I mean, we all called that she was there as a youngling from the beginning, but why does she have it so hard, for Kenobi right now? And she finally expresses what happened. We go to the flashback and we see Anakin just slaughtering all the younglings, and she is there with this dead look of fear on her face because she looks completely frozen. She mentioned too that she actually hid with the bodies as they started turning cold, and while she was playing dead. That was something that stood out for me, that we'll talk about later on, what happens. So then after all of that, Riva's asking Obi-Wan, hey, where were you? What, we thought Anakin was there to help us. Where were you during this whole thing? And then but Obi-Wan realizes that, hey, you're hunting Vader. You're setting all this up, to betray him, which is interesting in and of itself, because that's something I never really thought about. But I think someone had actually mentioned that a couple of days prior to the episode air, and yeah, that was an interesting theory, and he was right. So that was really, really interesting to see. We see Riva break down the door, unlock the door with her lightsaber, and then the assault begins. So they're trying to breach the doors. They're trying to breach everything while everyone's trying to run to safety. And then meanwhile, Tala sacrifices herself as she gets shot down with a thermal detonator. The way she does it is like questionable, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
And we also confirmed that stormtroopers can't hit for shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Shit.
They have to emphasize it even harder.
Is this a surprise?
Like Leo said, I mean, the garrison's a joke, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a simple joke, bro. And you know what was crazy about this, though? Did you notice that the garrison were outside trying to bombard the door when all she had to do was cut it down herself and open it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me pick this lock.
Yo, like
she sat there and let him try.
Yeah, I guess she just let him try. She's like, y'all, go ahead.
Y'all gonna earn your check.
Yeah, let's do
Y'all on the clock.
Like, I can't crush all of their self-esteems.
Yeah.
Like, so easily. Like, why don't you just like try? And then she does it, and they're probably just like, oh, what? That's okay. Like, we just waste time and stuff, but okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Here's a scene with the thermal detonator. She just sacrifices herself so everyone else can escape aboard the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obi-Wan decides to surrender himself as he realizes what's going on. So he'll surrender himself to Vader. And then we're back into another flashback where we see basically Anakin again getting the upper hand in Obi-Wan, mimicking the previous scene with Vader getting the upper hand on everybody else. So then Obi-Wan comes up with a plan to surrender to Vader. He's taken to Riva, and he says something to the fact that, hey, I am here to help you. I will help you draw him out. And she questions him as to, hey, do you think that he'll not see this coming? You know, so this was something that was
I like that.
Interesting to see the setup.
I like that line when he was like, "You're not bringing me to him. I'm bringing him to you."
I'm bringing him to you. Exactly.
I like that line, bro. That was so dope. That was dope.
That reminded me of the line from Watchmen.
Yeah.
Rorschach's in jail,
Yeah.
and he's like, "I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me."
Yeah. That was dope.
So next up, we see Leia finds Lola with her red eyes and everything, and suddenly just pulls the evil chip from her conveniently, and then finds the circuit breaker to unlock the hangar. Meanwhile, Vader has entered the surface. Now this is where shit started to get real, man.
Yeah.
Vader is entering the surface, looking for Obi-Wan, and only to find that as soon as he gets to this area in the hangar, the ship is just taking off. But, dude, as the ship is taking off, Vader reaches out, reminds me of, The Force Unleashed, with Starkiller doing his thing, dragging in the Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Pulls down the ship. He said, you guys ain't going nowhere. Pulls it down, walks up to the ship, pulls off panel by panel just to get to Obi-Wan. And as soon as he's about to enter the ship, we see another ship in the background just suddenly take off. I thought it was like comedically the way they set that up.
Yeah.
And Vader's looking off in the distance like, some bitch.
Yeah.
Right? So that was interesting there to see that.
Well, can you imagine what you're thinking when you're in the other ship and you're just like hearing this and seeing this happen, and you're like, oh shit, like I hope this works. And that's not us next. Like, we better get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
And then we're go to another flashback in which we see Obi-Wan actually get the upper hand on Anakin this time, and Anakin just has this look of defeat.
That move when he pulls the lightsaber out of his hand was dope. When he goes behind him and pulls the lightsaber out of his hand to kill him was dope.
Meanwhile, after that flashback, Riva's coming up as Vader's distracted and decides, I'm going to go and take a crack at Vader. Vader's just toying with Riva and ends up splitting her lightsaber in two. And yeah, they go at it. She thinks she's king shit. He puts her in check. And then we suddenly see her being stabbed as she has a flashback to, I guess it's supposed to be herself being stabbed, which I don't really know what happened with that, because she said earlier she played dead and hit amongst the bodies.
Doesn't match
but
up.
the point of view that we got of her being stabbed is like as if she was being stabbed as a youngling herself, as she was being stabbed in present time. And on top of that, we see the Grand Inquisitor shows up. I'm like, this whole thing about him having two stomachs, we talked about this the other night. I thought he was dead. I thought we were truly going to see a different Grand Inquisitor from Rebels.
He's in Rebels, bro. He's in Rebels, bro.
I know, but I thought it was going to be like a completely different one, though, man. I didn't think at the time that it was going to be the same one.
Yeah.
But then again, we know in Star Wars, no one is ever truly dead.
No one really does.
Right.
Yeah, he just got some robot guts like Fennec. That's all.
Exactly. Pretty much, right? So he tells her that, something about revenge is a sweet motive to keep you alive or something like that. So then, so everyone takes off, and then Obi-Wan sets a disturbance in the Force about something is going on, and he just brushes it off as if it was nothing. Then we see Riva find a communicator on the floor that was Obi-Wan's, and suddenly she is able to look at a scrambled transmission of Bale's message. So we'll see what happens in the final episode. The last thing that we see, or not the last thing, but one of the last things that we see is that back on the ship, Roken tells Obi-Wan that, hey, the hyperdrive is out and the Empire is right on our tail. And then the very final shot we see is Luke lying asleep. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
basically the end of the episode, guys. So
But we also actually, for the first time in this episode, got a chance to hear Qui-Gon.
did we?
Yeah. We heard Qui-Gon.
Okay, elaborate.
So if you have to go back real quick though, because it was in that scene, Qui-Gon was communicating with Anakin after he was told. It was right before he was told that the hyperdrive was out. Qui-Gon, it was real quick, but he was communicating with him. You have to
Okay.
watch that scene. Qui-Gon was communicating with Obi-Wan. That was Qui-Gon's voice.
Oh, do you think, or I wonder if the only reason why, besides the reminder that it's all shit's gonna go down on Tatooine, like that everyone's headed there. I wonder if it wasn't Obi-Wan that Qui-Gon was reaching out to, but Luke, because we see Luke in bed almost like he's dreaming, and so I wonder if he thinks this stuff is coming to him in dreams, and Obi-Wan feels like he's been left out in the dust. That'd be interesting.
Because Qui-Gon was communicating with Obi-Wan at that point. He heard his voice. And that's when I keep forgetting the character, ask him, is everything okay? Is he all right? He was like, everything's fine. But Qui-Gon had communicated. If you go back and listen to the scene, you'll hear Qui-Gon's voice. It was muttered just a few words. And they slid that in. And I was like, I had to play it back. And I listened to it again. I was like, wow, they really did do that. They really did do that.
Let me catch up on the chat real quick. I'm sorry, Lyle, to cut you off. MB Dyson says that they needed that weapon that Gideon has in the Mando season finale. That was the E-web cannon, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, as they were trying to breach the doors. Ryan R says in the chats, yeah, you see Obi-Wan back in with 2 stormtroopers. Who else do we got here? Walton Chunky's in the house. The CGI in this show was super cringe. Yeah, the flashbacks maybe. That was. I thought everything else was fine. To be honest, I wasn't really.
He was like force pulling the ship that was going away. It looked like really wonky. I'll say that.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well,
I noticed that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I wasn't watching on a big enough screen. I'm over watching on a tablet. So for me, I thought it looked fine.
Time to upgrade, bro.
Time to upgrade? Yeah, I know.
I'll send you some links. Don't worry.
Hey, Tala's alive and the droid shield her from the blast. She was for a minute. The last episode, Luke meets Vader and says, "Who's your daddy?" Yeah, let's get everyone's final thoughts on this episode, man. I mean, for me personally, after I saw it, I'm watching these things when I'm either half asleep or half awake. So it takes a couple of times for me to watch it and to really gather my thoughts, but I really liked it. I thought this was a great episode. I don't think it was my favorite one so far, but it was definitely up there. And for me, what did it was just all the Vader scenes, the back and forth with Anakin and Obi-Wan playing in real time as far as who has the upper hand between Vader and Obi-Wan at the time while they're going through everything. So I thought that was really, really well done, the way they set everything up. And yeah, CC, I understand when you were talking about how you want to see more of Vader done by Disney, but look, I am still skeptical about it. But at the same time, they make him look like a badass, though, dude. I mean, he really did his thing, man. I would love to see more Vader, bro, but I mean, it's like, I don't know. I kind of believe in too much of a good thing, you know. But what were your thoughts on this episode?
Well, especially that last fight. Where he was really toying with Riva and not even like he didn't have a lightsaber the entire time. Like he was basically like pulling an Obi-Wan back on Riva, like the flashback that we were seeing with the two of them, where Obi-Wan kind of proved like you don't have to be a brute with a lightsaber to win a battle. And Vader, like Anakin, like turned that on Riva. I love that. We've never seen him do that before that I'm aware of. I think that's the kind of stuff I want more of. That it's not like the fencing kind of style of fights that we're used to seeing. I thought like the Inquisitor coming back does add a lot to it where you realize like, oh crap, like Vader's been several steps ahead of this for quite a while for them to plot something like that. There was something else I was going to mention that I totally forgot, but I think it had something to do with the Inquisitor. I was kind of surprised, but then now I feel stupid for being surprised, where it's like, okay, it makes sense, like between Rebels and how much like promotional material he's been in. Oh, I think I remember what I was going to say. So as far as Riva's lightsaber, because of course we know, like I collect lightsabers, and I don't know if the Hasbro Pulse campaign is actually going to go through for that. I think they're like way beyond what they need to have as far as backers go in order for that to get made. So apologies for anyone who really wants that saber from Hasbro. But yeah, I thought this was it. Of course, this episode had like tinges of ESB. It had tinges of Last Jedi, obviously, because God knows we've seen Rebels in a stronghold, and it's like we have to break through some kind of door. But it made me really excited for the next one, and it's a lot to cover though. Like I'm still hoping for an epic battle with Obi-Wan. Interesting that's going to be on Tatooine, and that it's probably going to be bookended with us seeing Luke again. But yeah, I thought this was. I think I'll appreciate this entire series once it's over, because so far there hasn't been an episode that I've been like, that was definitely a miss. There's been some I didn't think were as exciting as others, but this one I thought was just because of the scenes with Vader. Now I remember what I was going to say about Riva. So the juxtaposition of seeing her get stabbed by Vader and then going back to the flashback of her getting stabbed, I do think it's not like continuity error where she got error where she did in fact get stabbed. I think she was telling the truth when she said that she pretended to be dead to play dead. I think that was kind of a psychological thing of reinforcing the fear she had when she first saw Anakin, and the sense that he's finally completed his goal when it came to she was scared she was going to die in that moment. And
symbolic. That's when she really died.
Yeah.
That's when her innocence was taken.
Yeah. And now he's finally like, the circle has closed, essentially. Like he's finally
he finally got her, yeah.
Yep, despite all of her trials and tribulations and wanting to seek revenge on all of those Jedi who kind of put her in the place that she was in then. So I don't think it was like a mistake that she was stabbed and we didn't know she was stabbed. I think it was supposed to be, like Vinny hit on the nail on the head, symbolic.
Single songwriter in the chat. Just give me some Star Wars hot toys. I collect Star Wars figures, not TV shows. I feel you, man. They're coming in, man. They're coming in hot too. So just be ready for it. Walton says that Youzbee is right. I had the same problem with the snow speeders during the fight at the end of episode 4. They don't look like they have like any weight and move in a very unbelievable manner. Whatever he's right about.
And it wasn't even snow.
I mean, I missed it. Yeah, huh? So you really can't call them snow speeders, right? Ryan Arch here says that this show solidifies my opinion that Disney needs to stay away from the legacy characters. Do something like Mando and boot Kathleen Kennedy. She doesn't get it. I don't necessarily agree with that 100, but I do understand. I do understand what you're talking about, man.
Yeah.
But whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, man. I appreciate you here being here, Ryan. Rrr Mmmm. What were your overall thoughts on this episode?
Well, I can say that one of my favorite parts was the fact that Obi-Wan had to say that line that we always hear more of the dark side users say, join me, and together, we can defeat him. And I just really like that. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll join you. Let's do this. Yeah, and I think that part alone, maybe we're going to see more of that going forward, in which I suspect we may be getting more episodes Obi-Wan, and perhaps he will build a network of people, and maybe those lightsabers are a sign that there are 8 people that will be part of that network. I'm just feeling that might be the case, because he's not going to the same destination as everyone else. So, maybe they will join him, and we'll find out that there is a deeper network going forward. And it was nice when Vader says, "We don't have to break them." To Riva, and of course, his intention really—I don't think he wants to break Obi. He wants to break Riva, but she doesn't know it. She doesn't realize that he's talking about her.
Foreshadowing, huh?
So it was really nice to see that kind of thing. And then, of course, I'm not going to say she was bested. I'm just going to say that she can't outsmart anybody on her own, and she's been going since how old was she as a youngling? She couldn't have been more than 7, maybe.
Yeah, they're usually not that old.
When that happened, and she's been hustling. She's a hustler. That's what she is. She's a hustler. And so, I think everyone realized that about her. And that's why her character was that way, because she's had to hustle for everything. And they know she's struggling. And the other Inquisitors have known she's been struggling from day one. And so, that explains a lot of what we've been seeing from her. We haven't been seeing her at her best because it's been so damn hard for her to survive in this environment. So, and she struggled to keep that secret, which I guess most of the Inquisitors already know, but she feels she's been keeping it a secret successfully. So now if Obi-Wan could figure it out, and what was this, maybe the 3rd or the 4th time they've met, certainly, all the other Inquisitors and Darth Vader know her, the history of what she's gone through. And perhaps Anakin even remembers her from that day. So
it kind of seemed like he did, actually, the way that, called her youngling or something like that. We don't need you anymore. So.
Yes. And then the way he looked at her, I did like that they filmed the shot so it looked like he was coming towards you.
Yeah.
And, it's like, could you fight him off? No, I couldn't fight him off. I'd just be like, gosh, he's cute. And then, of course, he'd like strike you down, That's what would happen. But I think also the young girl who portrayed her was wonderful. And, I think that these younglings are gifted children, not just because they have the Force, but they've been trained by some of the best people in the galaxy. So they're also learning other ways to survive. And, it's really a miracle she survived, isn't it? It's a miracle she survived. Everybody who survived Order 66, it's a miracle, things that happen, the way that things configured. But it's legitimate that she would be asking Obi-Wan, like, well, where were you? She never got an explanation for this. They're not going to tell her. But I think that at some point in her adulthood, since she is clearly still alive, she has to realize that the situation was much more complicated than she thought. And she was in the temple as a youngling and was taught everything that they taught her. I wonder what the Inquisitors are teaching her about the Jedi now and about, the Force. We don't really know what she's been told or what's been omitted. So this is something to think about. And, I think that it gives her character much more depth, but this is an approach, or at least an inkling of the fact that she, has had very little advantages and somehow she's managed to survive. So she really is a survivor, I guess, even though she's gotten stabbed in the stomach. So, this is, it certainly is very interesting that in one of the last scenes where she makes a discovery, right? Had they only stuck around a little bit longer and not left her there, she wouldn't have made that discovery. So, I think that, that not the actors, but the storyline for the discovery of that was kind of okay. It was okay, but she could have discovered something else too. Not that it isn't special to know about the children, but she could have discovered something else that might have also been important in the message. But perhaps not that. That might, it was like more of an obvious thing for her to discover that about the children. So perhaps she's going to become the protector of those children as well. So we'll see.
Do you think that Vader, instead of just stabbing her the way that he did, should have finished her off in another way? I mean, we see them snap necks to with a kid. I mean, just to ensure
he needs her to get Kenobi, so he knows that there's something has changed. Because remember, her countenance changed. at some point during this episode. Her countenance has changed. Even the way that she approached him, because she felt as soon as Kenobi may have been put into custody, it would be a time where Vader might have been more sensitive and she could strike against him. And even though Vader did not actually get Kenobi in his custody, she knew that he was thinking about Kenobi, and that's why she chose to strike against him, which was, you can't outsmart the GOAT, right? You can't outsmart Vader, but she figured he's actually probably at a very vulnerable moment right now because he had Kenobi and then Kenobi's gone. And so she figures, that's a good time to just
strike.
But of course, it was almost as if, and someone already said this earlier, as if it was right back to the day that she was in the Jedi Temple, and her feelings betrayed her. And we saw what she was thinking, which is what we saw in the flashback. That's what she was thinking. She wasn't looking at Vader today. She was looking at it all those years where she still was quite shocked at what had happened to her and everybody in the temple. So I think that she's going to keep trying as long as she's alive to get at Vader. And I don't know if there's anybody out there who is trying to really kill Vader. Is there anyone else out there?
I don't think anyone has the balls to even consider it right now. But we don't know. We don't know who else is out there. I mean, there may be someone out there with a similar story to Riva that may have other intentions as to why they may want to try to get at Vader like that. But I mean, we don't know.
Well, I think if
definitely don't know.
The speculation of killing Vader, you're killing Palp's, let's say not apprentice, but I guess, I guess I don't even know how you would describe him now. I guess he would be his apprentice.
He still is an apprentice, yeah.
Yeah, and so Palps wouldn't let her get away. She would become the new apprentice, but at least, or he would kill her. But she can't defeat Palps, so I think that she's not thinking that far ahead.
Probably not. Real quick, I want to say what's up to P-Rock. He's in the chat. What's going on, man? It's good to see you here, brother. OF Skywalker says this show just needed more time. I definitely agree with you, man. I mean, the entire series in the past couple episodes, they're just way too short. It's an online streaming service, not TV. There's no need to rush. I love it. The fight in the bunker reminded me of the instances where I would create figures as a kid. Oh yeah, man, I definitely agree. I mean, I think some of these shorter shows actually would have benefited if the runtime was actually a little bit longer. Instead of making them like 35 minutes, make them like 50 minutes. There's so much more story they can tell that would have made the show like a little bit better.
Yeah, Stranger Things is doing it right. And it's a 9-episode season, so it's got a couple more episodes, but every episode is an hour and 15 and an hour and 45 minutes long. And it tells so much story and all of those things. You're never left with like, oh, I wish we had more. It's like they're telling everything. So, yeah. Yeah,
I'm hearing Stranger Things is pretty damn good. But Sean, what are your thoughts about this episode, man?
So about the episode, I gotta say I loved it. I thought it was probably one of my favorite ones. A lot of nostalgia in it and all that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
My thing, so Riva as a character has been kind of up and down for me. Oftentimes they haven't. Again, this I think goes to the lack of episodes and time in the episodes to develop the character, right? Because we've all been waiting for some reveal about why she is, the way she is, or why she's doing the stuff that she's doing, and it happened like out of left field at a door conversation, and went from like, 0 to 60, like right away. I think a lot of those things we expected, kind of came out, but they just came out pretty quick, and I think that's an artifact of how little time we have left in the show. As far as everything else, I thought it was cool to see a couple notes that I just saw for some other people analyzing it. This is not the first time, but if you notice when you look at Vader, you can see the red glow in his mask and in his eyes, and you could never see that in the OT because it was all rotoscoped in before. So it just adds like another level of kind of immersion, I guess, if you want to call it that. There's definitely a lot to wrap up. I know you were going to say something about Tala dying. I didn't really have an issue with that. I knew something was going to have to happen, but it definitely wasn't, emotionally weighted towards it, if you want to call it that. Like when she died, I was like, oh, okay, that's
really,
bummer. But I mean, you know, it was sad for sure, but it's, you know, I don't know. I liked her a lot. You know, I think she's a great actress, and you know, they could have done more with her, but yeah. And so I thought there were some convenient things like Riva finding the communicator at the end, and you know, the whole message replaying and stuff like that. And I'm unsure what she's going to do with that, because they made it seem like, okay, well, now she knows that where Obi-Wan's going and that Anakin has kids, but like it seemed like she's actually a good guy, kind of, maybe, but like now it seems like they wanted her to be a bit. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. You know, I'll save my thoughts for sort of the last, you know, where it ends up. But, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Overall, I liked the episode a lot. I loved the flashback scenes. I loved the hallway fights. I thought that was awesome. You know, the Vader scenes were awesome. They're definitely doing something a little bit different, I would say, with Vader, like him pulling Obi-Wan through the fire and not killing him, him just stabbing Riva and not killing her. He's definitely murked people for way less stuff than that. So I
think it's like outside of his character, the way they're kind of treating him when they're doing stuff.
I mean, he's a badass. He's like ultimate badass at the same time, like him in Rogue One and him in this whole, you know, the street scene when he's just like murdering people like for no reason. So he's like maximum badass, but at the same time, like doesn't kill people, which he kills people, but like not the people that you would think he would kill. So we'll see. Again, this is something we'll have to wait for how it goes, but overall, we'll see next week. I'll save comments on the overall series and the whole Disney is killing main characters comments that I've seen a bunch. And overall, I like it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. And rock and roll.
Oh yeah, dude. I want to say what's up to SB real quick, man. What's going on, bro? Good to see you here. Tobar said that you should have given her the Count Dooku treatment. Leo, there was a spot actually when Vader lit up his two sabers where I actually thought that was going to happen. I'm not going to say I was disappointed that it didn't happen, but I just kind of thought for a quick second, like, oh shit, he's actually going to do it. Yeah. But I mean, what were your thoughts on the episode overall, man?
I liked it. I mean, I really liked the episode, but it was just, pretty much the psychology of it, of just the characters. Play on words, also understanding. Moses Ingram herself kind of talked about the scene between her and Vader and how, again, when the stabbing motion took place, when he stabbed her, and when they were phasing back and forth between the characters, between him as Anakin, him as Vader. What she was basically looking at was putting a face to the enemy at that point. The last face that she saw on Coruscant was Anakin. And at that particular point, she did, lay possum, over corpses of, her family, those that she basically considered herself. Because of fear, she hid from it. When she was looking at Vader the entire time, it was her facing her fear, facing the simple fact that she wasn't going to turn away no matter what happened at that point. She was facing it. So when she stabbed on the stabbing motion, no, he didn't stab her on Coruscant. It was her putting a face to the enemy. And him stabbing her was her saying, okay, this is what should have happened the first time that didn't happen because I didn't face fear. So it happened this time. She was putting a face to Vader, knowing that was Anakin, but knowing that, okay, I'm facing my fear no matter what happens. I should have died with the rest of them, but I'm giving myself over. If I die right now, but now she's given a second chance. So she's kind of living through that. So she didn't die the first time because she wasn't meant to. It was meant to carry on, but now she faced that death and still lived. To say that, okay, now I've overcome that fear, that anger. I'm at peace with that now. But there's another chapter. There's another journey that needs to, that I need to take. And who knows what we're going to see now that she actually has that beacon. But I think I kind of have my theories about it. But I want to wait until like next episode to to see if that actually how it plays out. But you know, I did love that. And then, you know, him saying, you didn't think I knew, youngling? You didn't think I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So says that it's, you know, not that he didn't know, you know, again, it's like Vader, yes, we know Vader being, you know, this individual, this, you know, cold-hearted, you know, I mean, you know, just fueled by rage and anger. We know this of Vader, but we also know down the line, and if you've read some of the books, some of the opponents that he's faced that even have sort of like bested him, or either that he's had a hard time with, there has been a level of respect, you know what I mean, given, even though he knew that, okay, nah, this ain't gonna happen, you know what I mean, but there's still a level of respect. I think that, you know, there was somewhat a level of respect for Riva because she's lasted this long. She's gone through lengths to get to him. Even him knowing what she was doing, there's a level of respect that she would actually carry that out and then face him with zero fear at that particular point. It's like you have to give that person a level of respect, regardless if you kill him or not. There's still that honor and that level of respect that you give him. So even though he stabbed her, there was no point in at that time in him just finishing it off because either she's going to die or whatever, but she knows that she's faced that level of fear. So I did like that aspect right there. I also like the simple fact that Tala, I actually, I was okay with her death. And the reason why is because the conversation that she had with Obi-Wan before then was she needed to make peace. I think all of this was making peace with your past, making peace with certain things that you knew that you should have done. And she knew that she had chances. Like she watched people die. You know what I mean? Like she talked about watching young kids and younglings die and she did nothing about it. This was a sacrifice she needed to make for everybody else that was in that room. So I was okay with her dying. I was okay with her giving herself over at that point because for her, it was vindication. On top of that, it was atonement for everything that she did before. And it was like all things forgiven because she's given her life, you know what I mean, for so everyone else can survive. So I did like that aspect. Did I want her to die at that moment? Nah, because I love the character. I've loved her in Luther. I loved her in Game of Thrones. Everything that she's played, that actor's skill. But I did understand at that moment why that had to actually happen. Again, I was talking about how, you know, we were addressing the simple fact that Obi-Wan, you know, the comment that he made to Obi-Wan in New Hope, you know, he said, you know, when we last met, he said, what was it? I was a pupil, you know, I was a student.
Now a learner, but now I'm the master. Yeah,
exactly. So if you think about what he said in New Hope, and then remember what Obi-Wan said to him, you know, in the Jedi Temple, during that scene, he was like, your thirst for your first, it was, he says your thirst to conquer or, you know,
or is victory or something like that.
Or for victory is what holds you back. And the gist of it was, until you overcome these things, you're going to continue. I'm just going to see you as a Padawan. All you are to me as is a Padawan. That answered the question for me. You know, that lets me know that this is what Vader meant. When I last met, I was but a student. Now I'm the master. He wasn't talking about the last time that they actually met and he was slaughtered. No, he was talking about that conversation and the simple fact that he could have at that point, you know, he thought he had the upper hand, yet he got bested. And Obi-Wan, what he said is, not all wars or it's not won by a lightsaber. I can best you without it. Just like we saw Vader best Riva without a fucking lightsaber, bro. Like everything he did at that moment was without a lightsaber. And that just showed how powerful he was as an individual. I love that. But yeah, everything in this episode was so psychological and it was just cerebral. And I loved it. And that's what I loved about it. And I love the flashbacks, how they kind of like tied them in. I love the conversation. I love that little girl. I love Leia, bro. I love her. Yeah. When she said, I'm going to need a ladder. That's what she said. I'm going to need a ladder, bro. But that girl has zero fear, but she is so important to the cause. And that's what I loved about it. So all in all, yeah, man, I love this episode. I can't wait to see the next episode or where they're going to go. I treat this show as what it is. It's Star Wars. Not every show is going to be perfect. Not every movie was perfect, beat by beat. Not the dialogue isn't always the best, and we can't really expect it to be. We just got to be along for the journey. Enjoy good Star Wars, bro. Some people might disagree and say it's not good Star Wars, but the more Star Wars I get, I'm going to love. And if we keep having, back and forth, converse, like if there's such division, bro, like it's crazy. Like when I watch certain shows, like I was watching the John Campea show and Robert Meyer Burnett was on it today, and they were talking like, well, we can't have certain discussions and stuff like that. And then somebody said, yeah, especially a Star Wars discussion. And when you say that, it's all jokes. But to me, I take that personal because I'm like, well, damn, like I remember it was safe to talk about Star Wars and you can have these conversations and it felt good. You know what I mean? And these are what these shows are supposed to be about, was what we can have differences of opinion. But again, like I said before, I think that we get so attached to these characters that we don't want to see progression. We just want to see these characters and nothing else. How do we expect Star Wars to progress? Sometimes you got to let go. Like Ben said, let go. Like let go and let's move forward. Let's see the journeys of other characters. I want to see a journey between a story with Quinlan Voss and him basically smuggling like an underground railroad of like younglings and force-sensitive individuals. I want to see stuff like that. And hopefully we get it. But the only way we can get that is if we let go somewhat of the past and allow the future to unfold, bro. And that's what I'm looking at with Star Wars. I hope we see that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, man, because I mean we see it all the time. A lot of the fans out there are like, we want to see the galaxy is already small enough as it is, and with bringing in these extra characters, they're making them or these legacy characters, they're only just making it smaller.
They're shrinking.
So why not just expand? They're shrinking the universe. And while we say that, but when they actually do expand, we don't like it. Those characters are whack. Blah blah blah. It's like come on, man. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, I'll admit too that not all of the characters hit everybody 100%, but there are some that I thought they hit it out of the park with. Yeah. I mean, Din Djarin was one of them. We can all. I think most of us could probably agree on that.
Jyn Erso
too. That's another one too. Straight up, K2SO, that whole squad in Rogue One too, man. Yeah. Cal Kestis, there's another one too. So they've definitely created some great characters, man. It's just that I know whenever we get that one that no one likes or like the majority doesn't like, and then all of a sudden the entire history of Star Wars is just trash. So it's like, come on, man. Everybody needs to get over that.
When we make the argument, because a lot of people were talking about The Force Awakens, it was a missed opportunity. And I had to think about it. It's like, okay, it was a missed opportunity for us to get all the OT characters into one fold. And I kind of understood why they probably didn't do it that way, because that's what we would have been focused on, was that instead of the other characters. And they needed to let the other characters breathe. It might have been poor choices on how they did it, but I understand that they were trying to pursue, progressive, moving forward. They wanted to be progressive. And we have to allow that sometimes. And I think that sometimes we just don't do it. Like, we just don't allow it. So I'm hoping that the fans, like, literally, bro, like, I really hope they give Andor a chance. I really do, because I think Andor is going to be a good show. And I really want them to give that a chance. And I will tell you, just learning from this particular show, don't go looking for spoilers. Don't go looking for shit. Just let it play out. Don't go looking at basic, okay, I heard this is how it's going to end. If you're going to look for it, then you're spoiling yourself. Like you're really, really fooling yourself at that end. Just let it play out. Don't go looking for this shit. And I think that's what people did. They wrote Riva's character off of this show in the very beginning before we got a chance to see it. So people had already had a formulated opinion.
Preconceived notion at the time, yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So they didn't give her a chance. I love her character. And it's not because, and I say this, and I have to say this and really, really be, just upfront with it. It's not because she's just black. It's because of the simple fact that she's a character that's interesting, she's different, and I look at that as a chance for us to move forward, to learn about other characters. There were so many younglings, so many other Jedis that survived. There's still a tour. We still need to find out who the hell saved Grogu. So I would want to know that story.
Mm-hmm. That too.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's opportunities for us to progress forward. That's why, like what Taika Waititi said, he's not he doesn't want to shrink the galaxy by going back telling the same stories. He doesn't want to talk about OT characters or anything that happened in the sequels, prequels, or no. He wants a brand new, fresh story that's been untold. And I'm like, you know what? I'm on board for that, bro. But the first thing people would say is, well, man, you need to have this character. No, you don't. Just let it breathe. Let the galaxy grow. We didn't get OT characters in Knights of the Old Republic, and we loved it. So just look at it that way. So that's all.
Definitely. Real quick, man, Vinny, before I get your thoughts on, we lost you for a second, man. Glad you're back. Hope everything's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, CC has got something to show us real quick regarding a print that's going up for sale at midnight. Is it Pacific time or Eastern time?
No, so it's actually only available for less than an hour. So it's not going to be available after midnight Eastern Standard Time. So it's only available for another 50 minutes, which doesn't happen very often, that we're able to talk about art prints while they're still available. But this one was a timed edition. So I just looked down and saw the time, and I figured I wanted people to see it in case they didn't know about it and want like a last chance to order it before it's not available. But this is a timed edition, so it went up yesterday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and is available for, again, less than an hour, but it was available for 36 hours. So they'll print as many as they sell. If you're not familiar with Bottleneck Gallery and timed. Do we need to see your email? You're still.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
But the artist Chris Valentine, he did a Dark Knight print that was pretty popular. What I thought was cool is he's based out of South Africa. He said that the original, which he painted, some of the portraits, like the characters within that smoke plume, their portraits are like the size of a thumbnail. Some of them. That's how small.
No kidding.
Yep.
This is nice. I mean, you saw, just added to my cart. I'm ready to check out. But yeah, guys. I mean, this is a bad. The Death Troopers here sold this on me, man. This is nice. I mean, I love how the flame effect, like you said, with the smoke, actually leading up into the portrait of the characters. It reminds you of the poster, but I mean, it's just like the artist's interpretation of this entire thing. This is nice. I'm glad you shared this. But yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah. For those not familiar, so the website that this is available on, again, for another 50 minutes, is called Bottleneck Gallery. That's the print company that's going to be selling this. So, yeah, really stoked about this. And so I just wanted to, I get messages when people see stuff I've posted about art prints after the fact, and I always feel awful for them. So that's why I figured I'd use this platform to like quickly tell people, like, add to cart if you haven't done so already.
There you go, guys. Now's your chance. I mean, it's going to end in about less than an hour, I believe. So if anyone's interested, I would definitely pick this up. I mean, you guys just saw me add it to the cart. I will check out right after the show and secure this order for myself personally. Thanks, Izzy, for sharing that. I'm definitely going to pick that up. Vinny, man, let's hear it, dude. What were your thoughts on this episode, bro?
Again, I like the Organa message. It's so amazing that it wasn't, deleted. It's so foolish, but it set up a joke I had made about the show prior, talking to someone, that I now want to see Bail Organa show going on adventures with Luke, since we got a Kenobi show going on adventures with Leia. Like, have them swap and just have a whole nother show where we see young Luke adventures. And I don't know, it kind of like teased like that's what he would do. He would go to Tatooine if something happened to Kenobi. So I felt like that was interesting. But definitely Tala's death was, a bummer. She was such a great character, and of course it adds to the story. And Lifter Bro dying too. So that was a bummer, but it definitely added to the sacrifice. And clearly they're not ready to. They have bigger plans in store for Riva, so they had to have some death to add weight to the show. I loved him grabbing the ship. So in Rogue One, when Leia's transport got away and Vader's there on a platform, I'm sure most people watching it wanted him to just grab the fucking ship in mid space and just pull it back, but of course then A New Hope wouldn't have happened, so that wasn't going to happen. But then we got it in the especially seeing Starkiller do it in the games. We wanted to, you know, see Vader do something like that because of Starkiller, Ken Vader should be able to. But then we see Rey and Kylo both able to basically have that kind of power over an escaping ship. And I always was bummed that we didn't see, you know, Vader do that when he had the opportunity, but yet here we get to. And Vader was absolutely like terrifying, just like ripping the ship apart. I can't imagine how everyone watching that must have felt like, and how lucky they must feel like that they got away and didn't have that happen to them.
Yeah.
And then Riva attacking Vader from behind just reminded me of like Usual Suspects. So kind of sorcery was like, how do you stab the devil in the back? What if you miss? Now she was pretty dumb for like igniting the blade and then going to strike when she could have just ignited the blade with the saber hilt already kind of like Adam. I wonder if that would have worked, if he would have been able to block that. But that led to probably one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Star Wars, period. Aside from comic books and Star Wars, one of my favorite things in this world is martial arts films. So I'm rocking the Raid shirt right here. Darth Vader was using the Force with Tai Chi movements without any weapon at all. And we have seen the Force pushes and telekinesis from Force users a lot on the show, but never in a hand-to-hand fight at that level. Like we've seen people get pushed away and like defensively, but here he didn't even need to draw his weapon. He absolutely toyed with this character like it was a game. I've never seen anything like it. My jaw was absolutely on the floor. It was incredible. And we've seen virtually everyone who moved a big object or done anything with the Force have some level of exhaustion afterwards. And in this show, Vader is basically, he's like a video game character, just like
he's OP.
He's like a video game character, like if you were controlling Vader and you would just go through spamming the Force push button on fucking everything because it's cool. And that's what he's doing in the show. It's like this is him at his prime. They aren't nerfing him. They're just letting him be absolutely fucking terrifying and using powers that weaken and fatigue other Force users who are very strong and with little to no effort. Like everything he's doing is just inevitable. He's unstoppable. And it's what we've all wanted to see. And people are saying like, oh, you know, I don't know how much of this Vader I want to see. Some things are left to be mysterious. It's like, no, you don't have to watch it. You can just watch the OG films and let everything else be mysterious. You don't have to read the books to see more of Vader and Luke. You don't have to watch the shows to see more of Vader. You can. That's the beauty of entertainment and media. You can ignore it or you can consume it. You can, you know, like anything else. Like I miss the old Kanye. You can still listen to all those CDs, you know, or you can listen to the new shit. You can pick and choose. I love what they're doing with Vader in the show. It's incredible, and it fills in gaps that we've always seen him attacking and doing these things with like Imperial officers who couldn't fight back. I mean, this is him being just as dangerous to other powerful Force users and who are absolutely playthings to him. So it's just incredible. I love that they tied it together. Like I mentioned earlier, I think when you were getting your switching over layout, like I mentioned too, like how that training sequence that solved that quote problem. Like this episode is basically like this, you know, when you as a learner, now the master had nothing to do with the duel, had to do with experience, wisdom. And this answered that question without them even having to fight. Like this, because he outsmarted them and outside of a duel, and he still might fight again. But this explained like there's more to learn than just how to beat someone with a lightsaber. It's about as a person. And Star Wars has always been at its core about who we are as people and how we face the world. And the laser swords and spaceship battles are just, you know, a filter for that. It's really about who we are, being a good person or a bad person, and discipline. And this show touches on all those things and hits those beats with subtleties and symbolism. And I feel sorry for the people who just take some crappy CGI or hokey dialogue from Star Wars and don't see all the things that it does right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
to
Well
sorry,
said.
to piggyback off that, you said that they, it's showing the human side of it, and that's one thing that I was thinking about this morning, that we see these Force users who in all the movies and really kind of canon have been like gods. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They can do everything that we can't do. They can move stuff with their mind. They can run. At least in episode 1, they can basically run as fast as they can and jump 3-story buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really humanizing, telling a human story about like PTSD or loss or whatever, because like we said kind of before, we're seeing Obi-Wan at his lowest. He lost all of his friends, he lost everything he stood for. He had to kill his brother or person that he had agreed to train on his master's dying with his master's dying breath. Everything that he had been thought about the Anakin being the one is gone. Everything happened. Padme dying, all in one day. You know what I mean? And then having to keep the secret and watch over Luke for the rest of his days, basically being kind of sequestered to the desert. So, we're seeing that the effects of losing absolutely everything in your life, and we're seeing that as how he is. He's sad. He lost his connection to the Force and all that stuff. So it's telling a very human story, which I like, that they're doing with Obi-Wan as far as that goes.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is almost like now Obi-Wan is, in a sense, probably even questioning the Jedi Order and what Qui-Gon would have actually thought at that time. Was Qui-Gon right? Did Qui-Gon see this before I did? Were there certain things, because again, Luke has always said, hubris is what kills us all. And we saw that Jedi and the Jedi themselves, they dwell amongst hubris as if it's like a best friend. They're so caught up in the nature of who they are and the symbolism of being a Jedi that arrogance takes over. Whereas the Sith, they're fueled by anger. Anger, like Palpatine says, your anger, it gives you focus. Focus what your agenda is. And that's exactly what happened. So the thing is, if you're Obi-Wan who's lost it all, when you've lived this somewhat high life of being looked at and just revered as, an energy and such high, an individual in high standards. And now this is how far you've fallen because of choices, because of things that you've made, and because you feel as though you failed the one individual who at that time we were deeming the chosen one. But because of missteps, this is what has happened. Are there things that you could have done? And he's been thinking about this. Are there things that I could have done earlier on to prevent these things from happening? I think that's plaguing him the entire time. So again, when we're seeing this version of Obi-Wan, we are seeing a humanity. We're seeing an individual who's broken. How many times have we actually, all of us have said, you know what? I've had that 1 year, that one good moment in my life where everything went so good and it was perfect. And then everything just crashed and burned. And I'm questioning everything like, damn, if I would have did this, I would have probably still been riding high. If I would have did this, I would have had the life that I've always wanted. But because I made a mistake, this is where I am right now. This is where Obi-Wan is. This is what he's basically thinking about. Like, everything is lost. And did all of this happen because of me? You know what I mean? It's like, yo, if you had a chance, I'm pretty sure if he had a chance to basically visit the realm worlds between worlds and go back to that moment, or even go back to the moment when Qui-Gon asked him to train, I'd have been like, man, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. I want a life. You know what?
Yeah.
You would have killed that kid in his sleep.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Just like, yo, like this. All, but I'm just saying, like, those things are what's plaguing him right now. Like, and we all go through it. So I love the simple fact that it is showing that human side of Obi-Wan and what he's going through. And he's finding his connection back. And even though if he's finding his way back to the Force, he's going to see it in such a different light. He's going to see it totally different. And that happens to the best of them. Look what happened to Ahsoka. Ahsoka decided she didn't want to join. She's like, no, I don't want to be a Jedi after everything that I've actually seen. And just because I'm not Jedi doesn't mean I'm not powerful, because she's a badass. You know what I mean? She doesn't need it. So we've seen Force sensitive who aren't really part of the Jedi Order that can still carry their own. So that's what I'm saying. Like, is Obi-Wan looking at the Jedi Order totally different based on certain things that were made, mistakes that were made? And I love that this show is kind of, walking and crossing around it. I love that.
Yeah, a single songwriter says, remember A New Hope Ben, Alec Guinness was no longer a master Jedi and did not have his full Force strength in that timeline as well. So that's, I mean, there's a lot of things I think that we really forget, man. And yeah, everybody here brought up some amazing points tonight, and I really truly appreciate everyone that's also showed up tonight in the chat and everybody here on the panel. So unless anyone else has something to say, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap. CC, anything else you guys want to add? No? All right. Cool.
What?
All right. So
I just want you to say your name again.
One quick thing. Vinny, bro, like, did you get your check yet?
What check?
Your check?
Coming.
Did you get your check?
I know it's coming.
They had casting calls. You sent the whole room for that casting call, bro. Did you get your check?
Nah, they just straight up, they just delivered it. COD.
Nice. Well, anyways, again, thanks for everyone showing up. Let's go ahead and ask everyone what's going on their respective channels. CC, what's going on with Rogue One 6?
So tomorrow night we have group therapy at our usual times. It's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the expensive shit we want to buy. And then we have Kenobi. So the last episode of Kenobi we'll be watching live. I did have a print show on Tuesday where we discussed, it was a short one, but we discussed the print that you just showed, the Rogue One, and then two other prints that were available yesterday. So we're trying to get back on track with that, but it's just, it's a lot for me to do that. And then a few hours later, stay up. I was probably running on like 3 hours. I did get 3 hours of sleep that day just to do Kenobi. I had to be up early to carpool with a coworker, but I made it work. But yeah, so if you want to, we're going to be watching the show live at, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the finale. And afterwards, we always hang out and chat about it. So at least I won't be sleep deprived for much longer, knock on wood. But it's been really fun. Chat with folks about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, cool. Thanks for being here, CC. And everyone, check out CC on Rogue One 6 on YouTube and check out her print show, Hot Off the Press. She just mentioned she just had a show the other night, and definitely go check her out. What's going on in Positive Fandom?
Well, every Sunday you can catch me live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Positive Fandom Sunday Brunch Show, where we talk all the gossip and fandom that's going on. So do check me out there. On Monday nights, you can find me streaming on Toxic Femininity with Lorraine Creole and Nina Infinity at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, sometimes you can find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network or on El Profesoro's channel on either Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. On Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch me streaming with Lorraine Creole on our show Toxic Male Appreciation. So definitely check that out. And on Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, you can find me on Midnight's Edge in the morning, streaming with Tom Connors and Andre on Midnight's Edge. And sometimes on Fridays and Saturdays, you can find me streaming with Lael and Robert Meyer Burnett on Midnight Musings on the Post Geek Singularity.
What a lineup. Is very busy.
Busy,
everyone
girl.
check her out.
Holy shit.
Check her out on Positive Fandom and everything else you just mentioned. I really truly appreciate you being on the show as always.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always. Vinny, what's going on with you, bro? What's going on with that Vincent Dunn art stuff?
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to finding more time to get some new art done. I have a couple, a few Star Wars prints that are on the site. So if anybody wants to check some of those out, head to Vincent Dunn Art. There's a link there for a store. There's some Kenobi, some Millennium Falcon, some Vader, and some Rogue One stuff. So there's tons of stuff there and a bunch of stuff that I'm really inspired from the show that I can't wait to get on the paper. and I've just been so busy with the regular jail that I've just been swamped. And it's busiest time of the season for me, so I'm just enjoying this free time I get to talk shop with you fine fellows and check out these new episodes of Kenobi. Always a pleasure being here on Uncivilized Scoundrels with you guys. Also catch me on Comic Book Talk with Friends on Leo's channel on Monday nights. Always a pleasure to chop that up, and I'm ecstatic for the bittersweet finale. This show has been somewhat controversial. I don't know why. I don't feel like this deserves the polarizing Boba Fett type of talk that I hear sometimes. I don't get it. To me, it's just been really, really amazing with some nitpicky stuff to pick apart. But I feel like on the whole, this has been like nostalgic, mainlining. It's just been phenomenal for someone who grew up with these characters and always wanted to see, backstories that we always seen in books and comics and stuff like that on screen. I mean, we've gotten like 3 episodes of Vader being badass. Like, how could you complain? It's crazy. That's my opinion. That's
I hear you, bro. Yeah,
everybody has a right to hate or love any kind of content they want. They hate it, more power to them. But I love it, man. I'm loving this. So I can't wait to see the finale. I'm excited for it. I'm stoked for it. I think we're gonna see just a lot of craziness, and I like that the final scene was Luke. I mean, Luke's always been right up there, if not above, like Vader. Like, so I know there's not much that could or should happen before we meet him in the New Hope, but I'm interested to see him. It was kind of a bait and switch with seeing a lot of Leia instead of Luke, so I'm interested in at least a little bit of Luke before we wrap it up. So can't wait for that.
Yeah. Same, man. Can't wait indeed. Everyone check out Vinny at Vincent Dunn Art on Instagram, and just check out everything he does, man. Some beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Thanks, sir.
Well, 1-6 scale, man.
What's up, bro?
Let us know what's going on with the channel, dude.
Well, hopefully the channel's gonna be up and live because the internet's down right now. So it's crazy.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But tomorrow, of course, I think thanks for putting us together, man, and having this show.
Always, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Amazing, man. It's beautiful to sit here and talk about Star Wars with CC3PO, Vinny, and Sean. It's always good to have that, and see CC, always coming in here flexing stuff like she's not trying to flex, but she's really trying to flex, but she's not trying to flex, but she's really flexing. But anyway, so
whether it's her collectibles or whatever she's eating, man, she's always flexing on something, right?
And flex, that's what she does. So
yeah.
But no, man. Tomorrow, of course, is Figure Flex Friday. Speaking of flexing, we're continuing with May Mashup Madness. So definitely tune in for that. On Sunday, we will have Collectors Lounge International at 12 p.m. So that's going to be an interesting show. That's on Juneteenth, as well as Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. If I don't get a chance to say it, all the fathers out there.
Sure.
Father's Day,
everybody.
Going to be amazing. Can't wait. But yeah, we're going to have Collectors Lounge then. Might be on Robert Burnett's show tomorrow night with we just have to actually and then basically we have let's see here, Monday, of course, is going to be Comic Book Talk with Friends with Vinny, followed by Wednesday, Say What, as always. We'll be talking about, we got a lot to cover on Sunday, but we also will have a lot to cover the next Wednesday as well, so can't wait for that. And then also back here on the show next Thursday, I believe, for the final episode of Obi-Wan. So we'll be having that chat. I can't wait for that. So, hey, so this is what I was thinking, Mario. So even though it's going to be on my channel next Thursday, I was thinking, why don't we just have the ladies host, bro?
Oh, all right.
Why don't we have
I like that.
And run the show? Like, they got to run the show. So we'll have both.
Let's go. Let's do it. Make it happen.
We just gonna sit back and we're gonna let them run the show. How about CC, you in for it?
Yeah, I yes. If CC3PO is in for it.
Come on, CC.
Yeah,
Come on, CC. Nope.
We can click some buttons and stuff. Yeah, we got it.
All right.
You know, but no, I mean, I'm
That's
serious.
a cool trick.
Yeah, it's a cool trick. But I can't wait, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, man.
Let's go. Let's go. More
Yeah,
Star
no
Wars.
doubt.
And thanks to everybody out in the chat, always supporting the show. And just being a part of the journey, man. We love it. I mean, that's what just makes the show bigger. Shout out to your brother for the amazing intro. I don't know how anybody can top that. It is what it is. But you know, Star Wars, we're gonna keep it moving. So.
No doubt. Everyone check out my man Leo here at the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel and on Instagram. One of the hardest working men that I know on YouTube personally. Last but not least, I got my dude, Sean, the enabling Youzbee. Where can people find you, brother? And what's going on with you?
Nothing. End of story. Bye. No.
All right, this is Joe.
Hi, everybody.
Over collecting weekly. Tomorrow night I'll be on the club to hang out, talk about comics and statues and stuff like that. Monday doing some unboxings. Planning to do my show, the Bricks and Brews, looking at the 26th. So you know, Sunday from now, I guess. So yeah, I'll be reaching out to Leal for that one because you got to build your Legos. So other than that, you know, just showing up when people have me. I'll be on Leal's show one of these days here coming up soon. I'm sure I'll be on more of Mario's shows. So you know, I'll be around enabling and talking smack and doing as much as I can. So
well, along with the ladies steering the show, man, I feel like we got to keep this panel here going for Civilized, man. I think we should bring Sean on for the finale, man.
We got to. We have to bring him for the finale, bro. Why not?
All right.
Why
okay,
not?
Sean.
Basically,
you better be there.
I'll be there. Hey, I'm not going to miss. CC.
One more again. Come on.
Hold on. I got to do carne asada. There we go.
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, them running the show. I can't miss that. So yeah, I'll be here for that. And then yeah, other than that, man, go to our local fair tomorrow. So I'm gonna eat a bunch of fried food. So I'm gonna feel like shit the whole weekend, but it's gonna be worth it.
Absolutely, dude.
Sean, do me a favor.
What's up?
Can you eat a churro for me?
If they have one, I will, and I will take a picture and send it to you. I promise.
Thanks.
There you go, Sean. Ryan R says absolutely nailed it, man.
He would know.
I can only roll my R's when I'm ordering like you know carne asada and all that stuff. So I have to do it. I have to do it like in the zone, and then I can do it back. So yeah.
Right on. Yeah, man. So again, I just want to thank everybody that showed up tonight in the chat and everyone on the panel tonight. And we will be back next Thursday for Uncivilized Scoundrels over on Leal's channel, talking the finale of Obi-Wan. And until then, everybody, may the Force be with you, and always stay uncivilized. We out.
So uncivilized.